I've said it before, and after the disastrous press conference that Donald Trump just had, I have to say it again. Every time he opens his mouth, something is bound to go wrong. And that is exactly what just happened at a press conference at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump, which was ostensibly supposed to be about the war in Ukraine and peace negotiations, which apparently Zelensky won't be a part of because Donald Trump is keeping him out of them. So I don't know how those are actually peace negotiations. No, it's just Trump being Vladimir Putin's puppet. And when he was called out for that, as you would expect, he got a little bit emotional, as Donald Trump always does, and started lashing out at a reporter and really a larger news outlet. But we're going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into that meltdown and those threats from Donald Trump, of course, we have to check out what he had to say about Ukraine.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president, and I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful, you can't replace that. The whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago?
I don't understand what this means. They've had a seat at the table for 3 years? Do you mean defending against the violent invasion from Vladimir Putin? That was having a seat at the table? Receiving the aid necessary for our ally that Joe Biden united the world around supporting? That was having a seat at the table? I don't understand what Trump is trying to say here. He's been very clearly upset with Zelensky lately. That is why he is cutting him out of the talk that he is having with Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia, of all places. That's not a shock. But the Kremlin talking points continued with what Trump said right here.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. So many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
I don't know if this is a bit of projection from our petulant child president who's seeing his approval ratings drop right now, but to say that Zelensky has a 4% approval rating and that he's against democracy, these are the Putin talking points. These are coming straight from the Kremlin. He in fact actually sounds like J.D. Vance right now because he's pushing all these Russian talking points. But I don't even know what Trump is trying to say, but of course he just got more and more upset. And when Trump is talking about something that looks bad for him, what does he have to do? He has to lash out and he has to distract. And that is what he did when he started attacking the AP right here.
Take for you to reconsider the restrictions on the Associated Press. And secondly, some of your advisors are concerned with the Associated Press's style guide using language and giving guidance to not use words like illegal immigrant or to use phrases like gender-affirming care. And they're concerned about that being an encroaching amount of liberalism in the way in which the press writes about things. Do you share those concerns?
Well, I do think that some of the phrases that they want to use are ridiculous, and I think, frankly, they become obsolete, especially in the last 3 weeks, because many things have happened in the last 3 weeks. And I didn't know about that, but I would say that if they want to use certain phrases like that, and I guess some are okay, but many aren't, but the Associated Press just refuses to go with what the law is and what is taking place. It's called the Gulf of America now. It's not called the Gulf of Mexico any longer. I have the right to do it, just like we have the right to do Mount McKinley, and nobody's even challenging that. But only the essentially, it's primarily the Associated Press, and I don't know what they're doing, but I just say that we're going to keep them out until such time as they agree that it's the Gulf of America. We're very proud of this country, and we want it to be the Gulf of America. Now,
once again, we see Trump threatening the Associated Press, going after their reporters, and really just kind of yelling at that reporter who asked him a very fair question about why the free speech president and the free speech absolutist and Elon Musk, how he has described himself, are so cool with censorship. We just made a video about this, but Elon Musk has called for the entire staff of 60 Minutes to have a very long prison sentence. First of all, I don't know what that means. I also don't know how that supports free speech, but neither do they. That's kind of the entire point of their shtick, is it's lying, it's hypocrisy, it's nonsense coming out of their mouths at all times. And it, of course, continued when Donald Trump was asked about a very important story right now. If Elon Musk lied on his affidavit, criminal conduct, by the way, about whether he actually works for the government or not, if he's a consultant, if he's a special advisor to the presidency, if he's heading up DOJ, what did Donald Trump have to say?
In a court filing, the White House said that Elon Musk is not a DOJ employee and has no authority to make decisions. Can you clarify for us today
well, Elon
what his
Musk,
exact role is there?
Yeah. Elon is, to me, a patriot. So, you could call him an employee, you could call him a consultant, you could call him whatever you want. But he's a patriot. I mean, look at the kind of things. I just said, just write it down, just in case that question got asked, right? And which I'm surprised it took so long, actually. But you know what? Ukraine's a bigger deal because people are dying by the thousands a week, thousands.
All right, so that was a bunch of BS. I don't know what that answer was. Trump is very clearly trying to blur the lines between him and Elon. I don't want to give him credit. I hate to do that. I don't know if this is like, I hate saying this, but like kind of 4D chess. If Trump, there's two options here. Trump either really likes being around Elon Musk because he's a billionaire and Trump loves billionaires. That is a legitimate possibility, which is crazy because I don't know why anyone would like spending time with Elon Musk. But there's that. Or he knows how unpopular Elon is becoming. He knows all of the problems he's caused. And of course, in sending our government into chaos, he's helped Trump accomplish his goal, which is clearing out as many civil servants who care about public service as possible, because Trump just wants to install his stooges, people loyal to him. That is quite literally what Project 2025 is about. And he knows eventually he can just knife Elon and throw him under the bus. It's why he said he wasn't heading up DOJ, because as we've talked about before, Elon being a part of that agency is incredibly unpopular. Incredibly unpopular. And so are all the decisions he's made recently, especially with regards to Social Security, which Trump was asked about right here.
We have a very corrupt country, and it's a sad thing to say, but we're figuring it out. Now, the good thing about Social Security and what I read is if you take all of those numbers off, because they're obviously fraudulent or incompetent, but if you take all of those millions of people off Social Security, all of a sudden we have a very powerful Social Security with people that are 80 and 70 and 90, but not 200 years old. So it's a very positive thing. How about over here? Yeah.
If I was on Social Security, I would be really scared right now, because it's clear that this is all starting out as there's a bunch of dead people on it, millions of dead people, which we know that's not true. This is ridiculous. It is an incredibly effective program and agency that makes up such a substantial portion of the government budget. Do you seriously believe that it'd be possible for millions of people who are dead to be getting money? And where would that money be sent exactly? I just don't get this. And if you cared about doing an audit, bring in some auditors. Don't fire the inspector generals who are concerned with looking out for this waste. But if you want to take a look at a different place, making up a huge portion of the government budget that actually is always failing audits, unable to pass them, the DOD. Oh, but that's where all of Elon's contracts are. Can't do that then. Can't do that. Can't actually take accountability. Speaking of which, Trump right here definitely couldn't take accountability.
Mr. President, there was a big wave of probationary federal workers who were fired over the weekend. Some of these workers focused on nuclear weapon security, were immediately rehired. Do you have any concerns about how these terminations have
No,
gone?
not at all. I think we have to just do what we have to do. It's, you know, you're going to, it's amazing what's been found right now. It's amazing. If we feel that in some cases they'll fire people and then they'll put some people back, not all of them, because a lot of people were let go. Don't forget, I got elected on the basis of making our government stronger and smaller, because we have millions of people that obviously they're paying millions of people that shouldn't be paid. And that has also to do with workers. Yeah, please. No, go ahead.
This is what I'm talking about. This is why I think there's a potential for throwing Elon under the bus, which would just chef's kiss. That would be so sweet, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that just be so nice if, like, they broke up and it was just a fiery, angry civil war? He says it is not his fault that these mass firings have been a massive failure. He says it's not his issue as president that all of this has been a complete disaster, that you fired people responsible for overseeing our nuclear arsenal. And isn't it interesting that Donald Trump is just mass firing people with the highest level of expertise in government? That it's these people who have been there for 10, 20, 30 years. The director of Social Security, 30-year public servant. Why would that be? Do you think it's because the people who have been there longest kind of know how to pull the strings of making sure Donald Trump can't go full fascist, full dictator? And I know MAGA pushes this as some like very scary thing that the different branches of government have checks over each other. Donald Trump announced today, by the way, that the president is the only one who can say what the law is. What? Like, that is what this is about. It is about putting all the power possible into Donald Trump's hands. A scary, scary idea. And they're going full steam ahead with it. And it is our job to call it out. We are certainly going to be doing so every day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.